Good evening here on the Central Riverhawks YouTube channel. I'm Joel McCall. Alongside me is, well, on the other screen is Mitch Olson. He is the head coach for the Central Riverhawks football team as they approach the postseason this coming Friday against Holman at their place. First of all, Coach Olson, thank you so much for joining me. Appreciate your time.
Thank you, Joel.
Well, going back and looking at the Battle of the Ark, where the Riverhawks lost 19 to 27 in that game, there's a lot to talk about. First of all, the great start. You get the big play by Shepard of 60 yards and then the 2 yard touchdown to take a 7-0 lead right away. I know that Logan really kind of bottled up Shepard for much of that night after that big run, but man, the boys had to feel really good about that start.
Yeah, what a great way to start the game. Just it felt awesome. Yeah, hitting it big right away. I thought, you know, it would have been nice just to keep that rolling. I guess I'm not sure what else to say about it.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Czech ended up scoring to make it 7-7. You guys had a turnover on downs. A penalty, I think was involved in that drive. Did come back with a 38-yard touchdown from Alvarado to Pangier, made it 13-7 as the PAT was no good. Czech then scores from 1 yard out. 14-13 was the score at halftime. When you guys went into the locker room at halftime and being down one, and you figure, well, okay, 1 point, that's really not that big a deal. We can get that right back with a 2 point conversion coming out the next touchdown. What were you talking with the boys, and how'd you feel about the game at 14-13 at half?
Yeah, I think that we felt really good at halftime. Um, there's a couple things that we had to get cleaned up a little bit. Especially that last drive that they scored right before the half. But we felt confident going into the half, and the couple of tweaks that we were going to make. Unfortunately, after the half, I don't think we really had our best. But more than anything, Logan was a fabulous team. I think that we can certainly execute a little bit better on both sides of the ball. But hats off to Logan. They came out and they executed. They're a real physical smash mouth football team. And they were better than us on Friday night.
Yeah, and the battle of the line of scrimmage, as we talked about, I know Bradley even mentioned it to Nami how that was their kind of best experienced offensive line in quite a while because they brought back several on that offensive line, three of them as seniors, and we saw that they were kind of getting a better push up front, and I thought maybe that would be really the difference, and it was. The other thing was I felt so horrible when Shepard fumbled. You're down 27-13, needing a big drive, and had, let's see, plays of 15, 15, 15, 14 in that drive, and then, heading towards the red zone. I felt relieved a little bit when Shepard was able to come back, bounce back, and then get in the end zone for his 4 yard touchdown before the game ended. But I know that I'm sure that young man was spiking himself, but I'm glad he was able to come back and make a great play because he has been so important to your program for the last couple of years.
Yeah, and I know that you worry about how players are going to respond after something like that happens, but just knowing Gavin and the confidence that he has, and he's played a lot of snaps too. He's really experienced, um, and really, knock on wood, he's had really good ball security over the past 3 years that he's been our varsity running back. Um, you know, those things happen, and we can work on it to try to help make those things not happen. But the reality is, when you're playing football, those things are going to happen sometimes, and there's just not much you can do about it.
Yeah, it was just a great response that he was able to come back. You guys put that drive together, then tried the onside kick. That didn't work out. And then the offside penalty actually was what ended it because Logan got the first down, as it was going to be a fourth down and one. I also thought Pangier might have made the play of the game had it not been for him snagging that bad snap on the punt and getting something away because I know that was before the fumble, but I look back at that and going, boy, if that gets away and it's a three-score lead for Logan, it would have been awfully tough to come back. It was already from the two-score lead, but Pangier making a great play there on that punt really kind of saved you.
Yeah, he's done that a number of times this year. I think there's one is maybe the first game of the year at Wanakee when he had to jump off up in the air and one-handed one over his head. So having guys that are just really good all-around talented athletes is always beneficial because when you have little mistakes here and there, they can make up for it. So we're lucky to have Derek back there catching the snaps as the punter.
Yeah, that's for sure. Well, no rude too. That obviously hurts you when you don't have one of your stellar athletes. But as you said, I think Logan just played a better football game Friday night, and now you guys have to regroup, and it'll be, well, it was a five-way tie, so technically you are an MVC champion, as so are four other teams, and they all head into the playoffs coming up this Friday night. Four out of the five get a home game. The one that doesn't is Central. So you go on the road and you're going up to Holman, who you already battled with earlier on the year. Um, Talk about, I guess I'm going to ask you something a little obscure that I don't normally ask you, but what is your opinion of having five champions in the MVC? I think it shows, it's very balanced, and you kind of knew that going into the season.
Well, it still counts as a conference championship, Joel. So yes, we are going to print the shirts, and I'll be sure to send that out to you.
I'm good.
But it's the parity across the entire conference this year. And we had an idea, I think, going into the season that it was going to be like that. I think at the start of the season we knew that there wasn't really any top team or set of top teams that were clearly much better than the others, and really every week anybody had the potential to beat anybody. And sometimes that's just how it shakes out. I have so much confidence in ourselves and everything. Like I believe that we are a conference championship caliber team, and we're going to celebrate that. And obviously, the loss last Friday night hurt, especially because it was the rivalry game and we were playing for the Arc. But we got to bounce back, and we still have to be able to reflect a little bit. And like we had a good season. We're 5-2 in the MVC. Cold conference champions, whether it was five ways or not, we're conference champions. So we need to be proud of ourselves for that. We're not going to have sort of a negative Nancy woe is me attitude about it. Like we play football, we coach football, we coach kids, we coach with our other coaches because it's fun and we enjoy it. And if it wasn't fun, then we wouldn't do it. So we're going to choose to see the good here, and there is a lot more good than there's bad, and we're conference champs, baby. So we're gonna get that bad taste out of our mouth from last Friday night and enjoy and celebrate the fact that we have at least one more week of football, and that's all we're gonna worry about. That's all we're gonna focus on. Then hopefully we can come back and earn one more week after that, and I think that's really what it's about, especially at this time of the year. 90% of these seniors aren't going to play football after their last high school football game. It's something that they've been doing since maybe third grade flag football with their buddies. Like that's special, and we have one whole extra week of that guaranteed. So we're just going to enjoy every day. We're going to enjoy every practice. It's not work. Like it's a place where you want to be. And we're happy for that fact, and we're going to celebrate it and we're going to enjoy it.
Well, you have an opponent that you've already seen this year. You saw him on film so many times anyway, because as we alluded to earlier in the year, it was Holman and then their opponent. And then the next week, the Holman's opponent was your opponent. So you saw them on film a ton of times leading up to the regular season game. You know, how does things change preparation wise from seeing them the first time to seeing them the second time?
Well, I think that's a tough one, Joel. Their identity is their identity. They run midline, they run veer, they're a flex bone team. they're not going to come out and change their offense. They're not going to come out and play shotgun and throw the ball all over the place. They actually did start working a little bit of I formation last week, but you know they are who they are, and we are who we are. And they'll have Jack Barth back this week too, and he's a really talented player. He was out the first game, and that definitely changes the dynamic of their offense a little bit. I maybe they come out, they show something a little bit different on offense. I know that having seen them earlier in the year now, we need to go back and really evaluate ourselves and you know try to pick out the spots where we can be better against what they did well against us. So I enjoy it. It's when you play home and it's kind of throwback a little bit. It reminds me of some of the stuff that I would see and hear about as a kid. When my dad and the other people I was close with growing up were coaching football. So I really enjoy preparing to play Holman. It's challenging just because you do have to be so disciplined on the defensive side of the ball, and at times that means really being selfless because you just need to be so sound and execute your job every single play. And then offensively, we've changed a little bit since we played them last too.
That's true.
So I think we've got an idea of what we think is best for us, but we can't be married to anything, and we got to find what works and hopefully exploit some things that different matchups or whatever that we may like.
Well, I'm certainly looking forward to it on Friday night. We'll be up there to cover it as long as Mr. Luloff lets us in the press box. If not, I guess Nami and I will call it from the car. For Coach Olson, how about your question of the week? To me,
Yeah. So you said you're having some goulash tonight.
yep, homemade goulash is what's in the pot
Okay.
right downstairs.
Yeah. Was there? That just reminded me. We didn't call it goulash. We called it hot dish when I was growing up. My understanding of goulash is that it's pretty much the same thing.
I don't know. I've heard different things of hot dishes. I don't understand what a hot dish is because I'm from Iowa.
I think your goulash is probably my hot dish, but there are different kinds of hot dish. Anyways, Joel, what maybe not was your favorite, but what was a staple recipe for your family growing up? Was there ever anything that you had a lot of?
Yes,
Maybe
tater
something a
tot
little different.
hot dish, tater tot casserole is what I grew up on a lot. And it brings me
Okay.
back to the days of high school when I would come home and I would tell my mom, don't have it ready, but I am not eating until Monday Nitro starts at 7 o'clock. So I would watch wrestling at 7 o'clock and I would have my bowl of tater tot casserole. We did not call it a hot dish because, again, I'm from Iowa. So, and in fact, I just made that on Thursday night right before I left for a volleyball match. So, that's what the kids have been eating, and I've been eating for the last couple of days. It's still in our fridge. I had it for lunch.
So this is a family recipe that's sort of just been handed down from generation to generation.
No, no, this is just something
Are
my
you going
mom.
off script? You didn't get like the little recipe box from your mom that she got from her mom that got passed down?
No, no, I don't think I have anything that has actually been passed down from generation to generation on my mom's side. On my dad's side, I actually do have several recipes from my grandma Bridgman, but um, yeah, I don't really have too many. I plan on starting a tradition of making lefse, and that will be something that is handed down from my mom's side. So once we start working on that and don't have two little children running around because lefse takes a long time to make, that
Mm-hmm.
will be what I start making more and more of.
Well, that's pretty cool. I like that stuff. The traditions that get passed down. Get some
Same.
lefts a rolling. So
Yes. Dana has perfected the apple pie recipe that is and with a homemade crust because it has to be a homemade crust. If you buy a crust, don't even serve it to me. But if it's a
oh,
homemade crust, I will try it. And Dana has perfected hers to be as close to my dad's mom as possible, which was the staple of Like there is nothing better than that apple pie. I will never have an apple pie as good as what she made, but Dana's pretty close.
Way to go, Dana. Just keep chasing perfection. What
Right.
you'll butter and sugar on the lefse? You put a little jam on there.
So
What do you put on your lefse?
my mom is adamant that it needs to be just butter. I
Okay.
ruin it according to her with a little sugar. My
Mm.
my grandpa, her dad, used to put pork fat in it, and that's how he'd eat it. So I don't know.
Oh,
I don't know. But
that sounds good.
right, I know exactly. I have some of that in the freezer too. Not pork fat. I have some left side in my freezer that I will be breaking out for my mom here soon because she's coming up. So but yeah, that's what we got for a tradition in my house. That was always something that we had every Christmas was lefse. And we try to find it around here a little bit. It's never quite the same though. Got to make it homemade.
I had the same thing, Joel. You must have you got some Norwegian in
I
you
do
too.
quite a bit of it.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, you know what we're gonna have on Friday night is playoff football, and that's what we'll have for you with the Central Riverhawks and Holman. The Riverhawks will travel there. Now Thursday night we do have volleyball as the Riverhawks are hosting on Alaska. And it's a playoff game between MVC teams that have already met twice, actually three times this year. So it'll be another rematch between those two teams. And we'll have that at 7 o'clock at Mark Sutton Gym. And then, like I said, on Friday night, we'll have playoff football for you. Thank you again to Coach Olson. I'm Joel McCall. Thank you so much for tuning in here on the Central Riverhawks YouTube channel.